Good evening. Welcome to the January 20th, 2026 Board of Commissioners regular meeting. I would like to call this meeting to order. If you all will please stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance and then remain standing. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I would like to welcome Dan Marshall for our invocation.
Would you bow with me in prayer? Our gracious Heavenly Father, we come before you as we begin another year to ask that your hand be upon these public servants as they conduct the business of the people of Cabarrus County. You have called them to this task, and we humbly ask for your empowerment as they deliberate, debate, and dissect many thorny issues, especially in regard to the budget. Their job is not an easy one and demands wisdom and discernment that only comes from you. We remember Moses, who you called to lead his people out of bondage in Egypt. You gave him a seemingly impossible task, one man, alone, facing the might of Egypt and demanding freedom for his people. Moses understood the immensity of his assignment and struggled with accepting it. He even asked you to send someone else. Yet he eventually obeyed and learned how depending upon your power and provision makes all the difference. In Psalm 90, Moses prayed for himself and the other leaders of his people, giving praise to God, acknowledging their weaknesses, and asking God for God's hand to be upon their decisions. In Psalm 90, verse 12, he prayed, "Teach us to realize the brevity of life, so that we may grow in wisdom." May these public servants learn to maximize the opportunities that you grant them to learn, to grow, and to make a difference where you have placed them. Moses went on to pray in verses 16 and 17 of Psalm 90, "Let us, your servants, see your work again. Let our children see your glory. And may the Lord our God show his approval and make our efforts successful." Yes, make our efforts successful. As Moses asked for your approval and your power in his life to make decisions leading to success on behalf of his nation, we ask for your approval for these servants' actions and for your guiding hand to lead them to successful decisions on behalf of the people of Cabarrus County. Lord, we claim your promise in Psalm 9, verse 10. "Those who know your name trust in you, for you, O Lord, do not abandon those who search for you." May these officials seek after you, trusting you to provide them wisdom. And finally, Lord, we ask that you grant them the knowledge that they need to render sound judgments in their decisions for the people of Cabarrus County, as you have told us in Psalm 119, verse 66. "I believe in your commands. Now teach me good judgment and knowledge." In Christ's name, amen.
Amen. Okay. Commissioners, I do need an approval of the agenda, including the changes on page 4 and 6.
Make a motion.
Second.
Second.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Okay, and then I also want to make sure that I recognize our youth commissioner, Hillary Jara. If you would introduce yourself, please, ma'am.
Good evening. My name is Hillary Jara. I'm a junior in Early College Kannapolis High School, and I am a representative of the Youth Commission.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to have you up here with us today. And now we will move to B, informal public comments. And I will turn it over to Ariadne.
And we have 4 informal comments.
Thank you.
You're welcome. First we have is Robert Mitton.
Hello, y'all. Good evening. My name is Robert Matton. Thank you for allowing me to speak tonight. The reason why I'm here tonight is to have my saying about last month's meeting. It seemed more like a Christmas special than anything else. And I might remind you all, this is not a Christian nation. This is a secular country. Why wasn't Happy Holidays mentioned? Hanukkah was not mentioned. And I'm sure there's Jewish people in this county. Kwanzaa was not mentioned. I'm really sure there's black people in this county. There's also Buddhists and there's Hindus here, and neither one of their religions were mentioned either. And I think that's just a bigoted way of running a situation where you're governing all the citizens. I mean, this is not a secular state, nation, county. We're all inclusive here. And I just want to remind you all, James Madison consistently argued that religion is a matter of individual conscience, and that government should not interfere with that. And if he were here tonight, he would say something as such as, you're interfering with our conscience when you give us only one religion and expect us to all abide by it and not even mention anybody else. It's just not right. And wouldn't it be more fair if each and every month a different church with a different speaker lead a prayer, so that there's a Muslim prayer, a Hindu prayer, so forth for all the religions, and keep it down to once a year for each of these religions to speak with their leaders, so that we have a fairer representation. I myself, I don't believe in Christmas as a religious holiday. I think it's a commercialized holiday. And I just would like to keep religion out of government, and that your oath is not to your religion when you're here. It is to the Constitution of the United States. And I think you all need to be reminded of that. That's basically what I have to say. Thank you very much.
Elizabeth Nervania.
Good evening. My name is Elizabeth Nervania, Town Council Member for Town of Midland. Thank you for the opportunity to speak this evening. Before the meeting, I took some time to review the agenda book for everything coming up here this evening. And I just wanted to express my support for two of the items that are coming up for a vote tonight, and to respectfully encourage each of you to vote yes on both of those items. First, I want to thank the board for bringing forward the revised public participation policy for review and adoption. The previous policy, while likely well-intentioned, to me, seemed to place overly restrictive and nitpicky limits on what citizens could and could not say in this open forum. In practice, it had the effect of stifling free speech and infringing on the First Amendment right of residents to address their government freely. Public comment is one of the most direct ways that citizens can participate in their government. It should not have ever felt like having to navigate through a maze of technicalities, fearing that a misstep could silence a speaker's voice, have you removed from a meeting, or then end up with legal battles that we all know about, fighting over our constitutionally granted rights. So I truly appreciate that revisions are being made. They seem to restore more balance, respect, and freedom to this process. The updated policy that I saw in the packet better reflects the principle that government works best when the people feel heard, and I commend the board for taking this meaningful step forward. I hope you all vote yes on that later on tonight. Secondly, I also saw, and I want to voice my support for two new appointments to the WASAC board. I know that you'll be recommending Mr. Patrick and Mr. Wise. Water and sewer decisions have a direct and lasting impact on our residents, our growth, and our quality of life. Increasing representation from the town of Midland on this board is not just beneficial to the citizens of my town, it's necessary. Having voices at that table who understand Midland's distinct needs, challenges, and future plans will help ensure that decisions are made with our citizens in mind. I believe these appointments will strengthen collaboration, improve communication, and help build trust between WASAC and the communities that it serves. I believe that Mr. Patrick and Wise will both bring valuable perspectives and thoughtful leadership, and their service on that board will better position Midland's residents to be well represented in critical infrastructure decisions in the future. In closing, I want to thank each of you for your service to our county, your willingness to listen to all of us as we come here. I respectfully encourage each of you to vote yes on both the revised public participation policy and on the new WASAC board appointments. Thank you so much for your time and consideration.
Chris Cranston.
Good evening, Cabarrus County. I want to start by once more thanking the taxpayers, with a specific mention to the members of the Cabarrus County citizens against tax hikes for government transparency. Without y'all, the gaslighting I have been awarded for daring to enter this place armed with questions may have had an actual negative impact on me. And I thank you all for participating and paying attention to local government, even if we disagree. I understand the alternative is much easier. I didn't arrive in these chambers 2 years ago with any idea who is who, not even aware of the party affiliation of the men claiming to represent me. I have to say, I miss that blissful ignorance. I miss not knowing who ran a campaign as one of us, who then folded up on we the people like a wet paper bag the first time the government gave them a chance to. I miss not knowing it was Bill Baggs who ignored the will of the people, even telling me to my face the people's will isn't his job or concern when replacing seats on this board vacated early. Now with hindsight, it's obvious Jeff Jones was appointed to go on a revenge tour, firing the newly selected county manager and then paying off the previous with over $500,000. Even canceling the court date to allow arguments it's unconstitutional to pay off government employees for being fired for obvious cause. I miss not knowing the people's will had been circumvented with lawsuits, one-man appointments, and a flip-flopper. I really didn't feel like an extremist for desiring knowledge, for wanting to know why my property taxes are rising so quickly after moving back to Cabarrus County. I didn't understand my words and questions would be met with such awe and anger. I didn't realize my reps would go on media tours mocking me and those who would join our Facebook group. I'm working on my tone to help protect from hurting feelings, but the truth will not die with me. I've decided knowledge is better than ignorance, even when it's uncomfortable. I'm going to ask you all to have the fortitude to go the distance and do not fold up on us. I'm asking for basic and simple efforts to reel in the spending, like the ones Larry Lohr and Chris Meismer were implementing before his Senate appointment. Those were killed by the likes of Jones and Wortman immediately upon seizing back power. I don't expect mass firings people accuse me of. I don't expect county employees to go without health insurance like my wife and I are. I just ask, in fact, I beg you not to follow the Wortman approach, selling off property taxes at 15 cents on the dollar because it's better than zero, and then paying 240% when buying. We need to and can easily do much better. I'm not asking the world, just some basic effort to remember all citizens when making decisions that affect all citizens. I know, crazy extremist ideas I have. Let's start with respecting the will of the people and not spending money we don't have. Thanks for your consideration. God bless each of you. God bless Cabarrus County. Thank you.
Wesley Honeycutt.
Wes Honeycutt, Midland. Just had a couple of things that I wanted to read you all. I know we're approaching budget season, and just right off the bat, I want to say that I don't want to see status quo budget this year. I think that there are opportunities to take a deeper dive and turn over rocks. And I'm going to talk about a topic that a lot of people are tired of me talking about, and that's the ACN building. But back during election season for the municipalities, there was a post by, I think, our now Concord Mayor, Steve Morris, that said that there was a toxic pattern of twisting facts and bending narratives to mislead voters. And he referenced the ACN building, which I've been very vocal about, and the facts behind that. He noted the hidden appraisal story and how all the documents were provided to the LGC. Every discussion was held in an open meeting and in public. I'm going to forward you all this afterwards. So I said, I'm not just going to speculate. I'm going to ask the LGC what they were given. And so I got a FOIA request back from the LGC and asked them for what documents were submitted to them, including the emails describing what was submitted to them. And they told me that prior to the first meeting where approval was sought for the ACN, the only document that they received was the replacement cost appraisal of $54 million, which was not the market value appraisal of $23 million, because that was devastating to the case of paying $42 million for the building. I went on to read the email that was sent to them accompanying that appraisal, and it said, I'm providing you the appraisal. Note, if I were to give you a replacement cost valuation for your home right now, and your home's 30 years old, that's not an appraisal. That's what it would cost to build it new. But said, I'm providing you the appraisal you requested. I'm also providing you a feasibility study for what's estimated to build a new centralized health and human services center for our residents. That cost is estimated to be $85 to $140 million. We have a purchase contract for $42 million for the ACN building compared to an appraisal of $55 million and cost to uplift the facility of $20 million. This $62 million total cost is much lower than the cost to construct a new facility, meets our facility needs, and has room for expansion. So I just want to call out that, yes, maybe that was the best option for the county, but it was done deceptively. That was not an appraisal, and this is why I don't want a status quo budget, because if I found this one glaring example, how many other opportunities are there to turn over rocks where maybe we're just fudging the facts just a smidge to get some preferred outcome? But like I said, I'm going to forward you all these things, but when I was, kind of tangentially called a liar by Steve Morris, I took that personally, like Michael Jordan. So I'm going to send you all the facts, and you can review them for yourselves. Thank you.
That is all.
All right, we will move on to the consent agenda, and I do need a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
So moved.
All right, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, that motion carries 5-0. We will move on to new business. The first order of business is resolution for maintenance of Stallings Road, and that is Susie Morris. Welcome, Susie.
Thank you. Good evening, Commissioners. As you may recall, this item was on your work session agenda. During the discussion, there were a lot of questions that came up that we as county staff were unable to answer for you. So this evening, Mr. Rob Dunham from the town of Harrisburg, he is the town manager. He is here to give you a brief presentation on what the request is for, how they intend to use that section of the road, and then also to answer any questions that you may have. And I will turn it over to Mr. Dunham.
Hey, Rob, welcome.
Good evening, Commissioners. Manager Sifford, thank you for having me this evening. I did watch your previous meeting and listen to the comments there. So I wanted to go ahead and put together just a couple of slides that answered most of those questions, but then just open it up for any of y'all that have questions for me and hopefully answer those the best I can. So you'll see here we're asking for consideration of the resolution for NCDOT to turn over Stallings Road from Veterans Park to Raging Ridge. And I'll show you where that's, maybe. Can we advance that slide there? So this shows the location that we'll be taking from NCDOT. And the purpose of showing where this is really, those that are familiar with this understand that this area over the past 5-6 years has changed dramatically. We've built almost 500 homes in this area. That adds about 1,500 residents on this street. We also have Stallings Road Park, which is a very active park on this section. And this services Harrisburg Elementary. And Raging Ridge, just south of this, just south of this, is also home to Hickory Ridge Middle and Hickory Ridge High. We've added about $5 million worth of greenway trails in this area that connect those neighborhoods, those parks, and those schools. And we've just recently completed a greenway trailhead in that area, right next to the fields at Hickory Ridge Middle, so that we can utilize those fields. So the purpose of us maintaining this section really goes back to the fact that we already, go back to this one, we already maintain about 90% of this. I know the county doesn't do roads, so this may be news, but NCDOT doesn't even maintain sidewalks. That's not something that's in their purview. NCDOT does highways. So all of the sidewalks within Harrisburg on this road and others were either installed by us or maintained by us, or both. So currently in this section that we're looking to take over the rest of the maintenance, we already maintain the sidewalks. We mow the sides of the streets here. We maintain all the landscaping. We also maintain a pedestrian crossing that goes from Camilla Gardens over into Stallings Park. And all of that is really just something that NCDOT's, that's not their wheelhouse. They're maintaining I-85, 485, the same gentleman that you see on the news talking about toll lanes on 77 is the same person we have to call to say, hey, the grass is high on Stallings Road. It's just really, they're not built to maintain things like this. From a matter of public safety, we want to go ahead and take over the rest of the maintenance of this section so that we can really make it uniquely maintained by a town. There's a reason Charlotte has its own DOT. A lot of their interior roads, they just need to maintain that. It's not what NCDOT does. We're also looking at putting public art through this section. This has become a main corridor for us, so there was some discussion on the roundabouts. We are having our arts committee look at those two roundabouts for different signage, public art, and having local artisans commissioned to produce some art in those areas. That wouldn't also be something that NCDOT wants to maintain or have in their right-of-way. That's something that they would want us to do. Let me go forward to the last slide. Sorry, back one, where we circled the little spots. Right here. So the reason you guys don't get many of these is generally NCDOT gives us roads all the time. They'll abandon roads and then we take them over, but they're usually wholly within the town. In here, we have a couple of parcels that you see, 7, we circle 4 there, where there are gaps that are county properties. So these are county residents, not Harrisburg residents, but as Susie aptly mentioned, they are in our ETJ, so all of their zoning and planning comes through the town. We've discussed this at length with the local NCDOT representatives. They're in support of this. They're generally in support of us taking roads off of them to maintain, and would love for us to do that. For us, what does this mean from a monetary standpoint? It takes about $2,000 a year annualized over, we don't pave every year, but ultimately the only thing we don't do currently is pave this road. So in our presentation to our board, we showed what that annualized cost is. This is also on the federal aid system, so it's available for grant funding, which we're pretty good at getting. So from a bang for your buck, a very little buck, a very big bang. The council did approve this with a 5-1 vote. Unlike Michael Jordan, I didn't take that personally when Councilman Patrick, now Commissioner Patrick, voted against that. However, as he had mentioned, it's really a principle thing. It's not a cost or a service to the residents. All of our council supported that. As you guys have aptly figured out, Councilman Patrick is a bit of a rebel. And Commissioner Patrick now is also a bit of a rebel up here. So you guys have your hands full, but we sure miss him in Harrisburg, pointing out things like, this is DOT's problem, why are we taking it on? The why is, it's a better service to our residents, it's very little cost, NCDOT supports it, and ultimately our residents are better off for it. I think I answered Commissioner Pittman's question of, is DOT fine with this? Yes. The local DOT representatives have reviewed it. They're fine with it. This goes to the Transportation Board on their version of a consent agenda once the local representatives take a look at it. What were the other questions?
Commissioners, do y'all have any other questions regarding this? I just want to say that we do appreciate you letting us have Commissioner Patrick. I'm sure that you guys do miss him down there, but we're grateful to have him here.
We miss him sometimes.
Sometime. All right, well, thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
All right. So, Commissioners, I do need a motion to approve this resolution as presented.
I'll second it.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that motion carries 5-0. We will move on to our next presentation. We do have a special resolution that we are going to have presented to us tonight by Barbara Strang, who is an associate lifetime member of the Vietnam Veterans of America and is here this evening representing the Vietnam Veterans of America Chapter 909.
Thank you. We are also joined tonight by Robert McLeod's wife, Janice. We have members of the Cabarrus County Veterans Coalition, Robert Fraley, John Stanley, and Ted Stanford. They also represent Post 51 and Vietnam Veterans of America, Chapter 909. A few months ago, they had discussed doing something for Robert since he worked so tirelessly on this project with the park. And what better way to honor him than to name the shelter closest to the memorial that he worked tirelessly on to make that happen, to change the name to his name in memory of him. As you'll see in the resolution, or the proclamation, Robert served this country honorably. He served in the United States Coast Guard from June of 1965 through 1971, serving active combat in Vietnam from March 1967 to 1969. It was there Robert was exposed to Agent Orange, which resulted in numerous health challenges from 1993 on. However, it never really slowed him down. His true passion after serving our country was to honor the lives of veterans, especially those who served in Vietnam. He spearheaded all the fundraising for the erection and dedication of numerous monuments, one of which happens to be at the Kannapolis Vietnam Veterans Park, honoring Cabarrus County's veterans killed in action. The Vietnam Memorial in Concord honors those of all Cabarrus County's fallen in action with a black granite monument listing the names, branches, and dates of death, symbolizing their enduring memory of each one of them and the community's tribute to those who have served in the war. So I thank you for your consideration, and I hope you approve this. And again, I've got all these folks here, fine folks here with me. So.
And I think Byron Hagler is going to be here. Byron Hagler is here, and you are going to read this resolution. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yes, ma'am. So thank you for the opportunity to have this honor to read this resolution. I got to work with Robert and his lovely wife and a lot of the gentlemen on the Veteran Coalition, and got to know that he absolutely does not stop. And so it's an honor for me to read this resolution to rename the Oak Shelter at Vietnam Veterans Park to the Robert Francis McLeod Shelter. Whereas Robert Francis McLeod served in the United States Coast Guard from June 1965 through June 1971, serving in active combat in Vietnam from March 1967 through March 1969. And whereas, following his military service, Robert dedicated himself to honoring the service of veterans through work and civic undertakings. And whereas he was co-founder of the Metrolina Vietnam Veterans Association and Coast Guard Lightship Sailors Association, a national trustee of Coast Guard Combat Veterans Association, chairman of the Cabarrus Veteran Coalition, and national chaplain of Coast Guard Lightship Sailors. And whereas, when the Harrisburg American Legion Post 523 was established in 2004, he served as its first commander and served in the capacity several times, as well as other post officer positions. And whereas he served the Department of North Carolina American Legion as District 17 Vice Commander and as a member of the Legion Riders Committee. And whereas he was directly involved in fundraising, design, erection, and dedication of numerous military monuments throughout the eastern region of the United States, including monuments in Kannapolis and Concord, now therefore be it resolved that the Cabarrus County Board of Commissioners resolves to rename the Oak Shelter in Vietnam Veterans Park to the Robert Francis McLeod Shelter in honor of his service to our country and community.
Mrs. McLeod, did you have anything that you would like to say in addressing the commission board?
Thanks to each of you. I had these little comments, but they've covered it so much more beautifully than I could. I'm obviously very proud of Robert's military service and the impact that he had across the country, and particularly here in Cabarrus County. And I thank you for this wonderful honor, which is validation of his legacy. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. And gentlemen, we want to thank you for your service as well to our country. Commissioners, can I have a motion to approve the resolution as presented?
Madam Chair, I'd like to move that. And if I may say, I'm not a veteran. Come from a family full of veterans. And I signed up, registered for the draft in 1972 when I turned 18. And I was amazed. I got back something I didn't understand. I was classified 1H, ineligible to be processed, and I didn't know why. But I made up my mind when I signed up. I didn't want to go. I didn't like the way it was being handled, frankly, by our leadership in Washington. But if they'd have drafted me, I was going to go and not complain and do my best. But those of you that went, I thank God you made it home. I know you lost friends, maybe family. I lost my cousin, Bobby Bulla, from Asheboro over there. And so it means a lot to me when I can meet and speak to and thank a veteran. God bless you.
Thank you. Can I have a second, please? Second. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries 5-0. Thank you all very much for coming tonight. Okay, we are going to move to item 3, which is review of the boards and policies, and this one is specifically regarding our appointment policy. Commissioners, you guys have had an opportunity to review the changes to the policy. Do we have any discussion regarding this change? All right, I do need a motion to approve the appointment policy as.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. We will move on to the Economic Development Grant Program. And we have all had an opportunity to review this policy as well. Do we have any discussion on this?
I have, Madam Chair.
Yes, sir.
I just have some issues with this revisions. First of all, have concerns that we remove the language, maintain and restore the well-being of all residents. I think this should always be the goal of the county, and that removal causes concern to me. Also in the grant, we took away any kind of determination of what amount of increased asset value benefits the county. I think we need to consider that. Giving away this money, we need to know what the return is going to be on that. Without putting in those measures, this could be a policy that could be abused, and money could go to friends and family and businesses to take care of buddies rather than the citizens. I think every economic development grant needs to be tied to some kind of increased value benefits that justifies the money. I also think the grant needs language in there that it would attract and maintain growth of existing Cabarrus County businesses. It appears that's been removed from the grant, or not specifically stated in there. I think the businesses here could grow and use that as well. It's not just fair to bring in outside businesses. In here we have provisions that we can waive any of these provisions in this agreement, which I think any such waiver of these provisions should be something that's brought before the board, and then staying with the policy. It should also be open to public hearing for any kind of waiver that's different than what our policy is adopted. I don't think the board itself should be able to just arbitrarily revise that. If we're going to consider the public hearing for all issues on economic development, they need to be involved in any waivers that we're looking to grant. I also think we took out language on how we consider whether a business or were questioning the language. I'm not sure how they actually rewritten it, because it really wasn't rewritten very well. How a business impacts schools, infrastructure, and other items. That should be a part of every negotiation when we're doing a deal with any business. When they come in, we need strong negotiations. We need a negotiator who will hold these businesses to providing whatever resources we need to help with the schools, infrastructure, and other items. This is not an impact fee that's assessed to all people. This is something we negotiate in our economic development incentive grant, and that should be negotiated out and considered on every single part. The other thing is we're basically taking Economic Development Corp away from the county, not utilizing them anymore. That takes away the collaboration that we have with the other cities. The bad point for us is we're a county. Most of this development and businesses of economic development is in the cities. If we're not sitting at the table to help negotiate these deals, we lose valuable time and we lose a lot of input. I think we need to involve the Economic Development Corp to help collaborate these between all the cities in the county. Other thing I see is we have a lot of time constraints, and 10 days here, 14 days here, 7 days there. A lot of these businesses, when they're relocating here, this is a process they're choosing us among other states, other counties. It's a process that they like to keep confidential because they haven't bought the real estate yet. They haven't done anything. We don't want to spike the real estate prices. We don't want to spike or interfere with other people's contracts. But with these time constraints about how we can present and do this, we may not be able to meet businesses or a proposed plan that would be so beneficial to the county because those time frames don't fit within their time frames, or we're allowed to work within their constraints as well. So until a prospective client comes to an agreement with us, and then we bring it before the public for a hearing, and then to see if it's approved or not, we could be losing something that could be very beneficial. We need to consider that. The other thing is we need safeguards. The safeguards and circumstances that we can't meet these time frames. There are none. They're set in stone. I would think we could put a safeguard in that if we need to not meet a time frame or alter these constraints in any way, that it would require unanimous consent of the board. This way, everybody can control how this thing goes, and there's no need to waive it unless we all unanimously agree on those things. So I think that provision needed to be in there. And again, the biggest thing is the mechanism measuring what return we're going to get. And what happens if they don't meet that? We had in there that if they don't meet it, it's void. We took that out. So if they don't meet that, if our language and whatever's negotiated could open us up to lawsuits if we don't give the money back, even though they didn't meet these criteria, because we have no criteria in this plan right now. And so based on that, I will not be voting for these changes.
Any other comments, commissioners?
If I may.
Yes, you may.
I don't think it's any secret. Everybody knows that I am totally opposed to economic incentives coming out of taxpayers' pocket. I think that the EDC and the Chamber of Commerce have a right to exist. They have the right to try to have the kind of influence they want to have. They want to reach out to business and try to get them in here. They have a right to do that, but not with taxpayer money. I don't think there should be any connection between the EDC and any level of government. They should be total separate. We shouldn't be trying to get businesses in here. We're overpopulated and over-businessed, if you put it that way, already. I said Cabarrus County or Concord was too big when I came here in 1990, and all it's done is grow and busting at the seams too much. And we don't need government trying to make that worse. So, the things that have been taken out of this needed to be taken out of it. I think a lot more needs to be done. We're not going to get that other stuff done tonight, but it is my goal. And for those who might wonder, I know a lot of everybody in here agrees with me, but the majority of voters agree with me in 2024. They knew what I was going to try to do, and that's why I was able to beat Steve Morris to be on this commission. After telling people I didn't want the job, but they kept telling me, you have to run, you're the only way we can get rid of Steve Morris, and that finally got through to me, and so I did it for this purpose, to try to straighten things out to where the government quits extorting our tax-paying citizens for purposes like this, and I won't be satisfied until that is totally done away with. But for the moment, if I may, I will move that we pass this because it is at least an improvement.
All right, and so is that a motion, sir?
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Sorry.
Okay. Can I get a second?
I'll second it, but I just want to say a few things.
Yes, please.
Since I did a lot of the editing on this, just to address the commissioner's comments here. The ratio on investment in real versus personal property still exists in this document, so that is still there, as does the existing businesses. I can't find it at the moment, but let me just say overall, this is a policy. This is not an ordinance or a law. I think the goal of this is just to put more of the power back into the hands of the board, which means the people. And so that was the goal for many of the revisions that I made that we discussed at length at the work session 2 weeks ago. I'd also like to add that the issues that you had with some of the dates that were in here, the goal of that was to give as much information to the public as possible. So it was to set a public hearing so that the public could hear it, and then not have the board make a decision. They had to go back, wait 2 weeks, and then come back and get a decision. So that was all about transparency. The impact fee issue you mentioned, we talked about at the work session. I'm not sure how important it is that it's in there or not. Ultimately, this board's going to negotiate in consultation with the EDC on businesses that may want to come here, that may provide jobs for the residents, or other benefits yet unknown. And finally, waivers and things like this. Again, these parameters are ultimately going to be set by the board. And so we can set whatever parameters that we negotiate with them to get the absolute best deal that we can for the residents of Cabarrus County, while still maintaining the tax dollars that we would and should get from businesses like these. So obviously, since I did a lot of the writing, I'm certainly in support of it. I offered my second, but I just wanted to address those couple of items.
Any other comments? Okay, so I do have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, so that motion carries 3-2. All right, so we will move to public participation policy. And do we have any discussion on the new public participation policy that needs to be addressed?
I do, Madam Chairman.
Yes, sir.
All right, with these new proposed public participation policy, I see several pitfalls in this document. First of all, we are now going to allow profanity and obscenity to be used in an orderly proceeding, vulgarity. All that is now permissible under this new policy. I think that makes it difficult to conduct business. I think it's a way to make people be disrespectful. It also will convey to other people that they'd be less engaged in discussing if they're going to be subject to such language, vulgarity, profanity. Offensive language is known to silence and intimidate others. That's the whole purpose of it. We can basically allow hate speech in here under this policy, and that will create a hostile environment. We are here to conduct business. We don't need that. We don't need people intimidated or marginalizing groups or those with different views from participating, effectively at silencing their voices. I feel the county is sending the wrong message, and for that I cannot promote hate speech, and I cannot promote any policy that allows obscenity, vulgarity, and profanity. I think it degrades the civic discourse of this meeting. It could lower the standards of debate. I think it lowers the standards of Cabarrus County, and it's a reflection on us as a county as a whole. We are, in fact, with this policy and allow such behavior, we are degrading our own citizens of Cabarrus County. This is my feeling on this. I think it also, with all the censor and stuff that comes from people using hate speech and such language and action, it creates a censorship of viewpoints. It prevents people from actually saying their views because they're afraid of the abuse that comes after it. So with that, I cannot support these changes.
Thank you. Any other comments, Commissioners? Commissioner Wortman?
Doug, from my understanding, the court case, I forget where it was at, that we discussed with the banner held in the background, we are now following the guidance from that lawsuit, so it's not in our control anymore anyway. So is that correct from the results of that lawsuit?
Yes, I would have to agree with that. That's State v. Barthel, which is the Court of Appeals case out of Avery County, and I hear what you've all said on this policy. I certainly hear what Commissioner Jones is saying, but I think these changes that you all are considering tonight are more or less necessary for us to comply with this new case that just came down, I believe, in November from the Court of Appeals.
Any other questions or comments? Commissioner Pittman?
I was going to say I'm very sympathetic to what Commissioner Jones was saying. I'm a minister of the gospel. I don't like profanity and vulgarity and that sort of thing myself. I see people put stuff on Facebook sometimes, and I agree with their basic point, but I won't put a like on it because they put some profane, vulgar speech in it. I don't want that stuff in here. But if we're constrained by a lawsuit that says we can't do that anymore, we need to work on changing some minds in the judiciary on that, and meanwhile we have to put up with it. I hate that, but that's just how it is.
Any other comments? Commissioner Patrick?
Yeah, I mean, just briefly, I mean, I think we're constrained by the Constitution for allowing vulgarity and anything that anybody from the public wants to say to us, whether we like it or not. And so that's part of the job. We are public officials. We are accountable to the people. If they have something they want to say to us, whether we like it or not, we have to sit up here and listen to it. And if you don't like that, then you can not be part of the Commissioners Board anymore, but that's the way it is. And so I believe this policy should have been changed long ago. I'm glad the court agreed with me, and so I'm certainly in support of it, obviously, since I made a lot of the changes. So I will go ahead and make that motion to approve.
All right, Commissioners, can I have a second? Second. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
No.
All right, that carries 4-1. We will now move on to review of rules of procedure. And you all have had the opportunity to take a look at those changes as well. Do we have any discussion?
I do have a comment on these as well.
Yes, sir.
The main thing is we have deadlines in here as well, but there's no consequences of not meeting those deadlines. There's no waiver of those deadlines. When something comes up, if we don't meet those timeframes, I'm concerned we may have issues come up at the last minute that need to be put on the agenda. If we don't meet those timeframes, we can't, and we're 2 weeks out before we can act on it, unless we can call a special meeting within those correct timeframes. That's a big concern with this policy.
Thank you, sir. Any other comments? Commissioner Patrick?
Yeah, I think just like the last one, those deadlines were to give the public a chance to have their voices heard and not vote on it immediately, so that they could go back, hear what we were proposing, come back, send us emails, have public comments, and the like. I think to address what you said, yes, we should absolutely, if we're in a pickle of some kind, we can call a special meeting, and there's no reason not to. So while I appreciate that, I would also make the motion to approve this policy.
Thank you. Any other comments? Can I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
No.
All right, that carries 4-1. We will move on to Water and Sewer Authority. So I do need a motion to remove Jonathan Marshall from the Water and Sewer Authority.
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
All right, that carries 3-2. And then moving on to the next one, I also need a motion to remove Bob Ritchie from the Water and Sewer Authority.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed?
No.
All right, that carries 3-2 as well. All right, and this next one is to appoint Ian Patrick to the Water and Sewer Authority to fill seat number 1 for the unexpired term ending June 30th.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Can I discuss that?
Sure.
My only question is at our last work session, Commissioner Patrick, you brought up a fear of losing institutional knowledge. That's over 35 years that we're losing with these two men, and we're putting on two that don't have any, and I don't understand if that's the route we're gonna go, why we don't take one out and leave one, and then the next go-around, take the other one out and leave one, and that way it still leaves some of that institutional knowledge.
Am I on? Yeah, I think that comment was more generally related to the appointment policy, and that didn't seem to be an issue for anybody. But since talking to a few people over there at WASAC, I believe there's more than enough institutional knowledge in that group. In fact, Mr. Dunham, who was speaking here earlier, Harrisburg town manager, has been on that group for quite some time, is more than likely to be the co-chair coming up, if not the chair. And so I'm completely comfortable with that knowledge moving forward.
Any other questions or concerns? Okay, so I do need a motion to appoint Ian Patrick to the Water and Sewer Authority to fill seat number 1.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? No. All right, so that carries 4-1. And we will move on to the next appointment. This is to appoint Richard Wise to the Water and Sewer Authority to fill seat number 2 for the unexpired term ending June 30th, 2027.
So moved.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Did we consult any of the other applications on file, and does Mr. Wise have an application on file for this?
Mr. Wise does not have an application on file, I don't believe, and no, we did not consult with any of the other applicants. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
All right, that carries 3-2. Okay, and we will move on to the opioid settlement overview and proposed spending authorization. And we'll have Elise come up here and speak on that. Thank you, ma'am.
Good evening. Per your request, at the January 5th work session, we revised the spending authorization, just limiting it under Recovery Support Services to our current subrecipients in terms of extending the funding. We also asked our county attorney to review the spending authorization as well.
Commissioners, do we have any questions or comments for Ms. Pugh? No? Okay, I do need a motion to approve the resolution.
So moved.
Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that carries 5-0. Thank you. And you are up for the next one as well. This is the resolution establishing the Regional Behavioral Health Center Advisory Board.
Yes, ma'am. I believe you had some questions in terms of differentiating between the Mental Health Advisory Board and this particular board, should you all opt to approve this resolution. So I've invited our Behavioral Health Director, who would be coordinating both, to talk about the differences.
Okay, great. Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you so much. So I just wanted to briefly just mention that the Mental Health Advisory Board is made up of community members, law enforcement, judges, representatives from the District Attorney's Office, public and private providers of mental health services, EMS, school services, and lots of leaders on that committee, and it meets quarterly. And it's distinctly different from the Regional Behavioral Health Center Board because the Mental Health Advisory Board focuses on county-wide behavioral health services and identifies resident needs and gaps, particularly as mental health continues to be a top need in our community. In contrast, should you choose, the Regional Behavioral Health Center Board would allow for the county leaders and residents to provide direct guidance to the center and ensure that it supports and represents the needs of our community.
Thank you. Commissioners, do you have any questions?
I'm good.
Okay, I do need a motion to approve that resolution, please.
So moved.
All right, motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that carries 5-0. Thank you so much for coming. Okay, so we are going to move to the agreement for professional recruitment services, and this is for Ashley Dobbins. Ashley, bless her heart, she's like, am I coming up there? Commissioners, did you have any additional questions regarding this agreement for Ashley? Anybody? Okay. Thank you for coming up. All right. I do need a motion to approve this agreement.
So moved.
In a second.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that carries 5-0. Thank you. Okay. So now we are going to move to the Board of Commissioners termination for insurance broker agreement with USI and the selection of the Pierce Group as our new insurance broker for employee health benefits. I can speak on this. Did we have anybody else that was going to speak on this? Is it just me? Okay. So I will give a brief summary of this, and I'm going to read this straight off the agenda. So the county's agreement with USI for insurance broker services does expire December 1st of this year. Due to the various timelines involved with budget planning, the need to conduct an open enrollment in May, and the county's fiscal year ending June the 30th, it would be prudent to select a new broker now. The goal of improving employee benefits while saving taxpayer money would be best served by acting prior to December 1st. The Pierce Group estimates will realize up to $3 million annually in savings with this change. And if we do have any questions or discussions, I'm happy to entertain those. Commissioner Pittman, did you want to add some information as well, sir?
Thank you, ma'am. I just want to say that my experience with Pierce as a state retiree with dealing with our insurance has been excellent. Anytime that I have needed to ask them a question or seek any guidance on handling my insurance with them, they've been very forthcoming, very charitable in dealing with my lack of knowledge on some things. And I think the employees would be well served by Pierce.
Commissioner Jones?
I have no knowledge of what this is about. I have not reviewed any documents or given any documents to review. I cannot make an informed decision, therefore I'll be voting against it.
Okay.
I'll also didn't have any knowledge other than when you called me and gave me that we're saving money. I've not seen any of it. I know there were interviews done that I didn't know about. So for that reason, I'm glad it looks like we're going to be saving money, but I've not seen any of it. So I'm going to have to vote against it as well.
Okay. Commissioner Patrick, did you want to comment on this as well, sir?
No, not particularly. I mean, the way I looked at it is if I, walked into the storage closet and saw that we were paying $100 for a box of pens that I knew you could get for $50, I'd certainly pass that along immediately. And I'm not sure I would spend the time calling everybody saying we're going to save half our money in pens, but $3 million in annual savings while we're looking at a budget shortfall of 13.7. I think we just did some good work. So I'll make the motion to approve.
Okay. We've got a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
No.
All right, that motion carries 3-2. Okay. So we have received the new, the commissioner members and liaisons of our local boards. Have y'all had an opportunity to take a look at your new assignments? And everybody's good with that? Okay. All right. I'll just need a motion to approve those as presented.
So moved.
In a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that carries. And any of the other reports, you folks have had an opportunity to take a look at those, so we will move on to general comments by board members. Commissioner Pittman, do you have any updates for us?
I was not able to attend the Midland Town Council meeting last week because I had the flu, but I did send some information to Doug Paris to be shared with the board members. My understanding is he didn't share it in the meeting, but did share it with the members. They've been continually concerned about fires at the solar farm sites, and one in particular that I had asked about, I was told, I think Kelly told me that they figured out that there was a connector that had come loose and it arced to the grass and set fire there. So there's still a lot of concern about this. Kelly, the information I received from her and shared with them was that we received confirmation from the chief electrical code consultant from North Carolina Department of Insurance that there is no authorization in the codes to allow regular inspections. We are only allowed to join the fire inspector on enforcing the fire code, which would not have addressed the cause of this fire. We have brought the issue to their attention to be considered in future revisions, future code revisions, that is. And I was told that the inspections that are done, I can't remember if it was once or twice a year, but anyway, it's going to be moved to the growing season because of how that fire was started. So hopefully that'll take care of some things. But I was asked, let me see. As I say, continuing concerns, Kelly's information that I gave to them. Question was raised, can the county not require site operators to conduct regular inspections to make sure there are no disconnected parts to cause fires like was done in that case? And don't we have that authority under public safety powers? I couldn't answer that, so I'm wondering maybe if Doug could give us some guidance on that. Do we have the authority to require the site operators to do the regular inspections?
I can look into that, but we've had some discussions in the past months about that. I don't know that we do. Once they submit a plan to development and it's approved and they go out there and they build according to the plan, that's when our jurisdiction ends. So for example, with plantings and grasses, they are required to plant what's on the plan, required to plant what has been platted out. But then we don't have any ability to go back and enforce it beyond a warranty period. I think we had some situations where there was still a warranty period and there were some plantings that died. And so planning and development was able to go back to them and say, you need to come back and correct this situation. But as far as ongoing maintenance, upkeep, mowing, I know it's been an issue, but thus far, we haven't found any mechanism that we have to enforce that.
I believe I've heard that there've been about 4 or 5 of these fires. And
I haven't heard a number, but I've definitely heard it's an issue for obvious reasons. and a
so you can
concern.
understand, a lot of them being close or down in the Midland area, they're very concerned about it.
Sure.
Okay, thank you. The other thing, I attended the Fire Services Board meeting on January the 8th. They reported that the North Carolina Board of Community Colleges, which has training programs for firefighters, had in July amended regulations for training to stop instructors double dipping as far as getting paid while serving otherwise. I know you're already getting paid, and then you get paid for that too. They've decided to stop that from happening. And will reimburse the fire department at the city rate for any expense coming from that. The chief has to make sure that it goes to the department operations, not to the general fund. It involves an associate degree program what used to be just through the college program, but can now come in from another continuing education source. Lee Ennis is the contact for Cabarrus departments, and training can be done online, such as through Rowan Cabarrus Community College. Fire Marshal Thompson asked for more participation from chiefs so that he doesn't have to dictate bylaws, as he wants more input from the chiefs to establish those. Emergency Management reported they had added equipment assets, 2 large trailer-mounted generators to their fleet. They took an existing trailer and converted it to a mobile response unit with equipment for rural response challenges. They're looking to add to it. They expect to receive a barrier device for needed road closures. They reported that Concord High School's Public Safety Academy currently has 73 students involved, and it's available to students from any school in the county. So that's some of the information that was shared, and the next meeting is on April 9th, and that's what I have to report.
Thank you, sir. These would be liaison. No? Okay. Any others?
Sure. There's only been 3 meetings since I got my assignments, but I went to the Harrisburg Town Council meeting last Monday. Not a lot to report, except that they did receive the results of their resident survey that they have completed as part of their as part of their strategic plan, which will cover 20 years and started when I was there. I shared that with all of you. I'd recommend the public go find it on their website as well. It's some really incredible numbers. They've done a really good job out there, so take a look on that. WASAC, there's nothing to report there. And then active living centers, their normal meeting would have been yesterday, but as it was obviously a holiday, they have moved their meeting to the 26th, which will actually be a retreat, and it will occur not at their normal meeting place, but at Frank Lisk Park. And that's all I had to report.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Jones?
Yeah, I was had the January 13th meeting with the Cabarrus County Partnership for Children, and I think she's probably happier than anybody else, but Ann Benfield has retired as the executive director. She did a real good job, many years of service, and we appreciate that. And we have elected Lauren Weston to become the new executive director. So everybody welcome her aboard too, and wish Ms. Benfield the best in retirement.
Absolutely. She has done that for a long time. We certainly appreciate her service. All right, and general comments? Commissioner Wortman?
Like Larry, I had the flu last week, and I'm still getting over it.
I didn't give it to him.
No. Thanks. But I did miss, we held 2x2 meetings here for the budget, and I missed mine with Commissioner Jones. And I just wanted to, I did reach out to Kelly and ask what was talked about. And I was told that we're talking about selling cooperative extension building and the milestone building, consolidating transportation, cutting employee health, cutting squad 410, cutting the vacancies, which from my understanding, there's 27 sheriff's officers vacancies and about 20 DSS, cutting infrastructure and asset management and contracting out the labor, and then looking at the operational costs for the parks and libraries to possibly give them back to the municipalities. And I only bring that up in hopes that our budget retreat is not generally well watched. So if any of these are important, I'm assuming our budget retreat will be live streamed again. It has been the last year, maybe 2 years. So if anybody's interested to see what we're looking at, that'll be the time to tune in. It is going to be live streamed. Or?
It will be recorded and played, but it will not be live streamed. The segments are too long. It's very difficult to produce a live segment for 7-8 hours. So they record it and put it out in segments for it.
But it'll be available to the public.
It will be available to the public.
Okay, so if any of those are concerning or interesting, either way you go, our budget retreat. What's the dates of the budget retreat? It's the end of
February 27 and 28.
Okay.
So Friday night and Saturday.
Okay.
Any other general comments?
Madam Chair, may I address the board before you adjourn?
Well, I was actually going to show my animal shelter video too,
Oh.
but which would you prefer?
I can wait for the animal shelter video.
Or do we want to end on it because it's a cute one? So you go ahead.
Let's go, we'll go ahead and do business, and then
Okay,
we'll end
you
with
go
animals.
ahead.
So on going back to E14, the USI contract matter that you all just voted on to terminate the contract, unless I missed it, I didn't hear a motion and a second and a vote to enter into the Pierce contract with the new broker. So I would ask you all, if you all agree with what I remember, if you would go back, if that's your desire, go back and conduct that motion and second and discussion and vote, if you intended to do that this evening. Now, I'll point out that USI's contract says we have to give them 90 days notice.
Correct.
Their duties and their work continues unabated till the last day of that 90-day period. So it's not like they're going to stop serving the county tomorrow.
Correct.
You've got that time period. If you don't want to take it up today, Pierce did send us 6 contract documents this afternoon about 1:45. I did give them a cursory read to be prepared for tonight, but that's another item for you all to consider as a board. Perhaps you all want to read through those before you take a vote, or perhaps you want to vote and authorize them being entered into after a thorough review. It's totally up to you all.
Okay.
Madam Chair?
Yes, sir.
Excuse me, I believe I'm the one who offered that motion, and it was my intent that it included both. Getting out of the one and getting into the other, which would, of course, include whatever time period it takes before the first one ends. But if we need to redo it, I don't object.
Well, again, I'm going off memory, which is never a really good thing to do, but we don't have the ability, we're recording this, but we don't have the ability to pull a live transcript to see. And I just leaned over to ask your clerk if she heard anything about Pierce, and she didn't catch it either. So again, we may be wrong about this, but I didn't want to leave and realize later we didn't have a vote on something that we meant to tie up.
Well, I'll be.
Well, Madam Clerk, our Chairman, I think since we have time and we have that 90 days, we need to review these documents and not vote on a document we have no idea what the content is. We could just put it on the work session and just go out of session and approve it after we all had a chance to read them.
We have already voted to
Cancel
and initiate that 90 days.
Mm-hmm.
So I am okay if we hold off and you all get the opportunity to review those as well. Is that okay?
how do you?
My concern would be, the reason we had to move so fast on this is because of open enrollment and to make sure we get it through in the budget process.
Yes.
So this normally would be, I would think, a document that staff would review as well as legal. And so I think that our job here tonight is just to say, authorize the interim county manager in consultation with legal to enter into an agreement in whatever terms are hashed out after you negotiate with them. I'm no attorney. I don't want to say, go do this, looks good to me. It is not my expertise.
And I'm fine if you all want to do that. And again, once we're able to consult the transcript or the recording, we may realize that we're just wrong and that it was really, but this has happened before in the past year that we thought we had to vote on something, and then when we look at the transcript, we realize it wasn't quite worded the way we all thought it was. But from my look at the documents today, I don't have a problem with you voting on it tonight. That's up to you all.
Yes.
I didn't see anything that jumped out at me. There was one document regarding IT issues and information sharing, and Mr. Shanley reviewed that, and he didn't see anything concerning.
And I also actually had the opportunity to review those as well, and did not have, again, I'm not an attorney. However, based on what I saw, it looked pretty standard. So just for formality, I will take a motion to approve our 90-day exit clause with USI and to enter into this agreement with the Pierce Group.
Madam Chair, I can do that. I just want to explain before we do move forward with that when I offered a motion, I was looking at this agenda item, and it looked to me like it was all-inclusive.
Correct.
And so that's how I intended the motion, to go along with this agenda item that appears to be all-inclusive.
I agree, and so just for argument's sake, let's redo it again.
Just to make sure we tie it up with a bow.
So Commissioner Pittman, would you like to make that motion?
I moved that I don't remember how you said it.
Well, you've already voted to terminate the USI contract, so I think we just need a
Right.
motion and second to enter into the new proposed contract with the Pierce Group after review by staff and legal counsel.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
All right, so that carries 3-2 again.
Thank you. And forgive me if
You're
that was
welcome.
unnecessary, but I want to, better
No,
safe than sorry.
absolutely, anytime. So I did want to say thank you to Julie Viteri, who is our animal shelter manager, for bringing Capricorn tonight. He is available for adoption at the animal shelter. I also want to say thank you to her as well for being our we had our Commissioner Summit last week, and she did come and speak about the animal shelter as well. And so tonight, we just kind of have an overview for 2025 and going into 2026. So this is our presentation for this evening.
2025 was an amazing year, thanks to the efforts of the Cabarrus County Animal Shelter and, of course, folks like you. Altogether, 1,778 lives were saved in 2025. Dogs like Gizmo, Mitchell, Hulk, and Reba all found new places to call home. And cats like Kiwi, Claudine, Blossom, and Willie all began a new chapter. And of course, with a new year, that means new chances to help. Here's our shelter manager, Julie Viteri, to give us some more information.
Hey, Laura. 2026 has been a very busy year so far. We have seen 106 animals, dogs and cats, come through our doors, which is about 20% of an increase over last year's numbers. We currently have 11 cats and 32 dogs that are looking for new homes. So we would love for everybody to visit our website or stop by the shelter, meet some animals, and see if one might be a good match.
Let's have another great year, Cavco. Visit our website and start off the new year with a new family member.
All right. Commissioners, did you have any other general comments?
Madam Chair, I just want to assure Doug that as far as I'm concerned, he hasn't done anything unnecessary yet. He does a good job giving us guidance, and I appreciate it.
All right. If we have nothing else, Commissioners, I will take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Okay. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right. We are adjourned. Thank you guys for coming.